Alright everybody, so for today's new lesson we're going to be comparing and ordering fractions. No different than any other comparing and ordering section. Basically what it's saying is when we're comparing, it's basically saying, with fractions, if I'm looking at something like 5/6 and comparing it to, I don't know, 2/7, we're basically just saying which one's largest. 5/6 greater than 2/7? Is it less than 2/7? Is it equal to? So what we're going to be doing is using greater than, less than, or equal to. Where, remember now, we got to get used to what these means. Okay, we got greater than. Okay, this one is going to be less than. And then finally we all know the equals to. Okay, so you got to get used to those. So we're just simply trying to figure out today, okay, is it greater than, less than, or equal to, saying which one's bigger. And then the ordering part, if I give you a list of numbers, we want to be able to, can I order them from least to greatest? So if I give you a list of fractions, such as 1/4, and then if I want to do 1/3, let's do 1/2, let's do 2/3, and then finally, if I do 3/4. Now these already are in order from least to greatest, but that's the kind of thing that we want to do. If I give you a whole bunch of fractions, am I able to determine which one is the ultimate smallest, then the next, and all the way up until we get the largest one, which is 3/4 least to greatest. So that's our lesson for today. That's what we're going to be trying to do. First example, we're going to compare 5/6 and 3/4 using greater than, less than, or equal to. So I want to take these two fractions, okay, and even though it's written side by side like this, where it's 5/6, that's just going to be the fraction 5/6. So you see that from time to time. So for work today, what I want us to do is rewrite these, 5/6, and then I'm going to take the 3/4. I like to write them above and below each other. And to be able to compare fractions, what we need to do today is we want to change these into equivalent fractions. So I'm going to change both the 5/6 and the 3/4 into new fractions. 5/6 is going to become something else, but it's going to be equivalent to 5/6. Now remember, we practiced doing that, okay? If I were to take, the 5 and the 6, I can multiply them by whatever I want, and I'm going to come up with an equivalent fraction. Our goal today, though, is this. Since our denominators are the 6 and the 4, I want to change those into numbers, that the 6 and the 4, that both of them, for new denominators, can become the exact same number. So I want to think of, okay, one thing that people do, I don't want to do that. Let's go back here. There we go. If I want to, let's just get rid of these. If I want to take this 6 and the 4, and some of you might be able to come up with something already right away, but what you can do is just list multiples. 6, 12, 18, 24, and multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, and basically you want to come up with a number that both of them can come into. So I know, well, I can change both the 6 and the 4 into a 12, and that's going to give them common denominators. And then the goal is to do this. Well, how do I change 6 into a 12? Well, I do that times 2. The rule is, since I multiplied the denominator by 2, have to multiply the numerator by 2. So 5 times 2 gives me 10. Then I have to do the same thing to the 3/4. How do I change 4 into a 12? Well, I can do that by multiplying by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Since I multiplied the denominator by 3, multiply the numerator by 3. 3 times 3 gives me 9. And once now we have these new fractions with common denominators, it's simply, we're just going to look at the numerators now. We want to know which one has more. Okay? And so what I'm comparing here is I'm comparing the 10 to the 9, and since the 10 is bigger than the 9, then I can say that the 10/12 right here is going to be the larger fraction. Okay? But remember now, if I say that 10/12, I'm going to write this down and then I'm going to erase it. 10/12 is the larger one, so 10/12 is greater than 9/12. But that's not what the question asks. We don't really care about 10/12 and 9/12. So what we always have to do, if you look back up to the question, we always want to go back to the original form. That's what I care about, okay? Not this stuff here. What I have to say is, since I know that 10/12 is the larger one, but 10/12 was originally 5/6, so I'm going to say 5/6 is the larger one. So 5/6 is greater than the other one, which is 3/4. Always go back to the original form because that's what the question is asking for. Okay, so finding common denominators today. Example 2, a little bit of a word problem here. Julie walks a distance of 7/10 of a mile. Seth walks 3/4 of a mile. Who walks the greater distance? Okay, I'm going to let you try this one on your own, so go ahead and pause the video. Okay, we're back. So comparing, we know that Julie walked 7/10 of a mile. We know that Seth walked 3/4 of a mile. We want to say who walked the greater distance. Okay. Well, again, we're just really just like we did in the last problem. We're comparing fractions. We want to change these so that they're equivalent fractions that have the same denominator. Okay. So I think of what can 10 and 4 both go into. Well, again, if I listed multiples, and some of you can probably do this in your head, but if I list them 10, 20, 30, 40, okay, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. As soon as I get one that's common, that can be a common denominator. Now, there are other choices. If I kept doing multiples of 4, from 20 I'd get 24, 28, 32, 36. I'd get 40 that's in common also, and that would work also, as long as they're common denominators. So, how do I chose to use the 20 though. So 10 times 2 gives me 20. So I have to do 7 times 2, which is 14. So an equivalent fraction becomes 14/20. The 3/4 I have to go times 5, because 4 times 5 is 20. So then I do 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay, compare the numerators here. I know that 15 is larger than 14. So 15/20 is the bigger one, is the larger one. 15/20 originally was the 3/4, and I want to know who walked the 3/4. Well, that was Seth walked the 3/4. So who walked the greater distance? That would be Seth. All right. All right, so that was the comparing. Now we want to do ordering. So like I said, they give us a list of them. They give us 4 different fractions here that I want to list from least to greatest. And this is really no different than the other problems. It's just now we're comparing more than just 2 of them. We're comparing 3 of them. So again, for work, I expect you to write these fractions down: 2/3, 3/8, 1/6, and then finally 3/4. And I want us to change these into equivalent fractions. Okay, so I'm trying to find a denominator that I can change each of these into, so I can come up with equivalent fractions. And so I look at the denominators, the 3, the 8, the 6, and the 4, and I'm saying, well, how can I think of a number that goes in, that they all go into? So if I take these, one method to do this, again, is to list the multiples. So if I do that, and you might be able to know this off the top of your head, and if you can, that's absolutely fine. But if you can't do it, or are having a hard time with it, then list them. So I can do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, just like we practiced, 24, ... I'm going to stop there because I have a hunch it's going to be 24. Multiples of 8, 8, 16, 24, ... Looking good so far. 6, 12, 18, 24. Bingo. We're going to keep it going. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And would you look at that? The 24 is common in all of them, which means 24 can become my denominator for all of them. Okay, 24. And then, okay, let's go ahead and change these over then. I know how does 3 become a 24? Let's change this to blue here. 3 times 8 gives me 24. So then I do 2 times 8, which is 16/24. 8 can become 24 by multiplying by 3. So numerator, 3 times 3 gives me 9/24. The 6 becomes 24 by multiplying by 4. So 1 times 4 gives me 4/24. Last one, 4 times 6 is 24. So 3 times 6 gives me 18/24. And then it's, remember, it's ordering them from least to greatest. So comparing the numerators. What's my smallest numerator? The 4. So least to greatest, this is going to go first because it's the smallest. Then comes the 9 is going to be second. Then the 16 is going to be third. Then the 18 is going to be the largest, so that's fourth. And remember, number 1 is I don't want you to leave this as an answer, as first, second, third, fourth. And remember, I don't want you to write the new fractions. The new fractions here, these were just a tool to help me get the order. Okay? But now when I finally write my answer, okay, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to flip to the new page, but the first one I'm going to write is what's first, which is 1/6. Okay? So I did the 1/6, so that one's now gone. Okay? So that one's out of there. Then second was 9/24, which originally is the 3/8. So 3/8 is the next. Okay, so that one's out of there. I used it. Now we move on to the third one, which was 16/24, which in the beginning was 2/3. So I write that down next, 2/3. Flip back for my last one, and finally the only fraction I didn't use, my largest one, was 18/24, which in the beginning was 3/4. So I write that down as my final answer. So always go back to the original form when we get our answer. Okay, that's our lesson today. Good luck.